One person left multiple comments saying it's too saturated. So going back to the cup thing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's too saturated because, again, if you personally served every single person in your local market a customized Yeti tumbler, and then they fell out of fashion, your ability to reach out and engrave tumblers again instantly refreshes when the new item comes into fashion. So there's and some people are going to keep up on those trends, but a lot of people aren't, you know? What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Laser Source Podcast, the #1 podcast if you like Grand Theft.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's 1 to 3 years in prison, according to Kyle.
So he's going to meet his Who Crates friend.
But we're on time. We could have been late, as usual, but I wanted to show people that often there's only one of us missing, and we wait for that person.
And or two.
Yeah.
And Boyce.
I don't even know where Boyce is. Boyce is probably in Alabama, lost.
He said, "What time are we going live? I'm eating food at 8:59." He said,
He's getting chased by the Wendigo.
Where are you, and what did you do with the real Alex?
Do you guys think that skinwalkers are real? If so, hit me up in chat and let me know.
This is what happens when Kyle is not here, by the way. Alex just gets weird. He's off his meds a little bit. It's all good.
Totally. Do you know what skinwalkers are, bro?
Yeah, they're the people from Game of Thrones.
No, what? No, skinwalkers,
animals and stuff, right?
Skinwalkers are from like Native American culture, and they can like take the form of different animals and people and stuff, and they like scream in the woods when they're chasing you. And the further away they sound,
where are you?
Wait, listen. The further away they sound, the closer they are. So if you hear a skinwalker in the distance, it's probably really close to you.
By the way, you ready for an awesome segue? Speaking of skinwalkers.
Oh, there's me now. It's Kyle.
Yeah, look at that.
What's up, bro?
He wasn't ready.
Great.
He absolutely wasn't ready. I just had to get him ready. I saw the skinwalker opportunity, and it was like, I can't miss it.
Oh, did you dump him in?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's so funny.
He did.
Like, when you said, you know what a skinwalker sounds like? It's there. It's right there.
It's right there.
You think Kyle's in your headphones, but he's actually just in your garage creeping with your LED lights.
Yeah, and that's when he sounds most distant. Guys, look at this. Look at this. This is NPR.
Watching too much horror talk.
It's true. This is NPR. We can have a horror podcast, dude. I can talk about that shit all day. Woman arrested after allegedly stealing $2,500 worth of Stanley cups. This photo was provided by the Roseville Police Department.
Now, this isn't the first place I saw it either. This was also on NBC.
Oh, yeah. No, there's like 8,000 articles if you just type in stolen Stanleys. In yet another episode, this is a quote, of people doing extreme things for Stanley Tumblers. I want to click this link. One woman allegedly attempted to steal a shopping cart full of Stanley water bottles without paying for them, police say. Authorities in the city of Roseville, California, responded to a call on the afternoon of January 17th about a shoplifting incident that just occurred. This lady filled up, this is according to Miranda, this lady filled up her shopping cart with Stanleys and then just walked out. She just walked out of the store with that.
By the way, I've seen stuff like that happen. Not Stanley's, but like in Florida, it's pretty commonplace now because like Target and all these places literally have a thing that says, "Don't stop people from going out of the store."
Yeah, they don't want to, they don't want to be the next viral video of one of their security guards tackling some poor person to the ground, right?
I got it.
And apparently they like tried a little, like they were like, "Please stop stealing those Stanleys," and she was like, "No," and just like dumped the look. Just look at the trunk picture, dude. I can't with this.
Oh my god!
I can't with this. The department released photos from the traffic stop showing a trunk full of the cups, and they're just like in there.
In the back of her Mustang.
Yeah, crazy.
Allegedly in the back of her Mustang.
In recent years, the Stanley brand's 40-ounce Quencher model, which retails at an average of $45, has had a major resurgence among women and a younger clientele. It's bizarre, dude. So like we've been talking about Arctic for a long time. We really like Arctic over here at Laser Everything. They're inexpensive. It's easy to buy a lot of them for your engraving business, blah, blah, blah. But while I was signing up for their affiliate program for the channel, Stanley was there too. And I could also select Stanley. So it was one of the first affiliate programs that we ever signed up for as a channel. And I don't think we've ever made an affiliate sale for Stanley stuff. It's so bizarre to me that this is like how sudden like this is a thing, like with the Stanley stuff.
That's what TikTok. So when you're talking about like last week, we were talking about the marketplaces that are available to people.
Yeah.
TikTok, like teenagers, dude. So as someone who was in the classroom for 15 years, trends, they're like fire. And then as soon as like the cool girl is doing it, then like the girl who is kind of like trying to be cool is doing it. Then there's like the kids who's got a cool aunt buys it for them, hoping their kid is cool, but they're really not going to be cool. But hey, they gotta say, it's just never stops.
Yeah. And then you got the parent crowd that hangs out at the football games and the soccer games that all want to have the same crap.
Oh yeah. And this is just like Nikes versus like Adidas when I was in high school. Like Nikes were the thing, but then like 5 years later, Adidas switched, and it was like Adidas was the shoe to have.
Yeah, and we wrote down a couple notes, like show notes on things we wanted to touch on. One of the things that we wrote down earlier today was, is the tumbler market too saturated to make a profit? I feel like we hear that a lot because there's constant, there's always content out. Go ahead, Kyle.
Sorry. This came up actually in a couple of comments that we got on the channel, and also feedback that we got was a lot of the stuff that we apparently talk about is becoming too trendy and the market's becoming saturated. Well, if the market was too saturated, would people be trying to steal $2,500 worth of Stanleys? Well, if the market was saturated, they would lose their value.
Well, I didn't plan on taking this angle on this, but just the conversation has led me here. If you have a small engraving business and you all year long engrave Yetis for everybody in your town, every single person, they all get a Yeti, and then all of a sudden TikTok's like, you need to buy Stanleys now. All of those people that have engraved Yetis no longer, like, that's not the desirable item anymore. So it doesn't matter, even if you personally met the needs of every single citizen within your reach, there's now a new thing that is the same thing that needs to be done again for all of these people. That's
always how stuff has been, though. Like that's the whole thing. Trends are cyclical, right? Stanley was huge in the 80s when I was a kid. Everybody had the big green thermos that they would take to work, and like some kids would bring it to school with like soup in it and stuff. But it wasn't the Stanley mug, but that was just the thing that you had to have, like Gene Code jeans. I would like fight somebody for some Gene Codes back in the day. We got some things here. Let's see. So Bunny Eater said Stanley Tumblers are garbage, but I keep lasering them to make money. Right. Yep. So yeah. And he thinks that because saw a post from a person who tested a bunch of tumbler brands, Stanley was the only one with lead paint in them. I don't know if that's from now, but at some point. Here's Boyce.
Yeah, that might have been old.
What do you mean at some like 1969?
I don't know. Like
I think it was 67. It was no node or something.
No, I know I was being sarcastic.
Also, a few people are shocked that we started at 9, including Boyce.
We did without Kyle and Boyce.
Boyce, yeah. Luckily, I had no life at 8:36. I was sitting in this chair. Lori. Wow, a new year, a new sense of time.
Don't get excited, Lori. Keep your pants on. We'll be late next week.
Yeah, and then Miranda was chiming in, and she was saying that going back to the safety thing, you bet your butt I wasn't risking my safety for the store's merchandise.
Bro,
dude, 1990s, I feel like if a woman tried to do this or a man tried to do this walking out of a store, allegedly, with stealing stuff, like literally, I feel like it would be like, stop. And they'd be like, I'm so sorry. Times are tough. There'd be a story. There'd be like all right, well, you think about this next time, or they'd prosecute them. Now you have no idea if that person's just going to whip out an AK, and take everybody out because, yeah, I'm with them, Rand, on that one.
I asked Kyle to find out, so this was in California, what the penalty would be if convicted for this crime, which would be grand theft felony. And in California, that is anything over $950, which we've easily cleared here, even with just the photo alone, which is up to 3 years in state prison, $10,000 fine. Would you face 3 years in prison for $2,500? Because I
see, and that's what I was talking about this morning when you sent this picture, or Miranda sent this picture. Can you imagine someone's like, "Hey, what are you in jail for?" "Well, I stole $2,500 worth of Stanleys," and the other guy's just like, "I murdered a guy named Stanley." Oh, because you're in the same jail cell at that point.
I stole Stanley's cups. I stole Stanley's life.
Yeah, I stole his soul. I'm a skinwalker.
It's rough.
Anyways, let's see. Going back to the question that we had asked was more than one person left multiple comments saying it's too saturated. So going back to the cup thing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's too saturated because, again, if you personally served every single person in your local market a customized Yeti tumbler, and then they fell out of fashion, your ability to reach out and engrave tumblers again instantly refreshes when the new item comes into fashion. So there's and some people are going to keep up on those trends, but a lot of people aren't. Okay.
I have comments to add to that because Anthony said this. Beam It Up Laserworks, our guy Anthony, said the market is saturated with subpar work of people slapping cookie cutter designs on cups.
True.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
that part.
This is where I think it's really cool. This market, people decided to exactly what he said, and they started doing the full wraps. Then the other thing is Stanley decided to do like the multicolor underlayer metal, like the treated metals underneath.
With lead.
So then you had the gold ones, you had the multicolored ones.
Allegedly.
Then the other thing that happened too that blows me away now, like people who have glow forges, like you sit there and you look at this huge market, and this is where I think it's really cool to see innovation from something, because if you've got a glow forge or something that's smaller that can't fit a 40 ounce, because that's a big ass cup, right? Like 100 millimeters is the 30 ounce. What's a 40 ounce? Like 120?
At least.
It's got to be, because 20 is 80, 100 is 30, so it's got to be 120 at least. So you're not fitting that in a glow
like
forge.
The Kool-Aid, man.
It's just oh yeah. But what's interesting is they literally created more things to go on it. So have you guys seen the Stanley cup toppers? Have you seen those?
Oh yeah. The little charming shit.
Yeah. So literally they cut acrylic and then like it would put like the name like Ashley on there, and so they'd cut out white so that it covers the thing, and then they'd put like a little layer of strip of black, and then they put like fancy stuff on there. So they found a way to get into the market. And then what ends up happening is the girls who have that, not only do they have the pink special edition from Target that was only sold for 4 days, but they've also got the nameplate that goes with it that matches the pink because it's a strawberry pink and not the red pink. And it's like, so like the market morphs around this item. It's wild to me.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's a lot. And yeah, most of it I think definitely is trash. I feel like if you want to put in the bare minimum effort or close to the bare minimum effort, the market is probably saturated, but I don't feel like it's saturated with good work. That's a really good point, Anthony. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Going to mention, we did just put up our YouTube interview with Katie Devlin, where she goes over how to do those wraps.
Yeah. Yep, we did. That's a really good episode, actually. Have you guys seen? Let me know in chat if you've been watching the LBX interviews. Let me know what you think of them. Not as popular as I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be kind of banging. So I'm curious about your feedback. So if you have feedback on that series, or if you haven't even watched it yet, let me know in chat what you think of that. But there is a link to those down in the description, and they're on the front page of the channel along with the playlist for LBX 2023, if that's something that you want to take a look at.
Also, LightBurn has only released the 2 days of live streams, not day 3, where I think her talk was on day 3 about the wrapping tumbler technique or whatever. So they've got 2 of them up, but not the 3rd day.
Were there talks on day 3? I thought day 3 was just the little show booths.
Maybe the only ones we released is the main room too. Then maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the other
the side
rooms.
rooms that they had, remember, like
rooms.
room 3 way up front.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had 3 tracks.
Next up on the list, and Matt, I'm going to let you kind of take point on this one, buddy. But it's January, 1099s are flowing. People are starting to sweat. The IRS is loading the chamber and watching you through the scope.
See, this is where I'm excited because I take 0 deductions from any job I've ever had. So I'm sure that the government has gotten to keep more of my money than they should have, but like I just get a big fat check at the end of the year. So I'm always like, yes.
I've always claimed 0 on everything, but I can't do that anymore. So
yeah, I mean, you can, you don't have to, but anyways, all right. So my thing that I was going to mention to you guys is, and by the way, please chime in if there's stuff that you guys do for your business at the beginning of the year. I was thinking about like things that you guys should be considering. It's getting to be the end of January. You are a small business. It's really important that you guys start getting your stuff ready because I've been doing that for the past week. So 1099 dispersals are supposed to be going out. They need to be like taken out by the end of January, right? So if you are a small business, you probably have been getting your 1099s. Make sure that you guys are actually sending out 1099s too to the people who you paid. Legally, the limit is $600, but you don't have to wait till $600. But if you're somebody who's paying an accountant, you know, my accountant sent me a thing that's like, we have a list of all the people you need to send one to for like under $600. And I'm sitting there thinking that's billable hours for them, which means money out of my pocket. So, you know, just be mindful how you do that. If you have an accounting department, awesome. If you don't, you probably should just maybe the 600 or higher. So that's something to make sure you're thinking about. The other thing is your annual report to the state. Everybody has those kind of due at a different point, but most of you guys have already made choices and decisions about how your structure is going to be. So if you're in, and this is in one of the things that we have on the LMA coming out soon is like basically the business structures. That's business 102. Literally going through the different levels. Like if you're a sole proprietorship, if you're an LLC, if you're a multi-partner LLC, all those things. Make sure that you guys have all the information for the annual report now. Like get it ready to go for whatever time you have to do that. The other thing is, I hope you guys have paid your Q4 tax remittances. If you haven't yet, you should really make sure you do that. I just got mine turned in on literally the 19th. I was like, oh shit. So, oh shoot. Dang it, boys. Look what you did.
Fucking boys.
Language. So anyways, that's something to make sure you guys are thinking about too. And by the way, again, if you guys have anything that you want to add to this list, go for it. But the other thing is a SWOT analysis. So that was all like the business stuff that you normally handle anyways. If you haven't done a SWOT analysis ever before, that's something that you might want to think about. And I think when Alicia Pate came on our show a long time ago, she's the one that introduced that actual like acronym to me, you know, and she had put it in the Laser Lounge a long time ago. And it's something that I've been working on every year and my business has grown. And, you know, not always exactly where I want it to go, but, you know, you got to have a goal in a direction. So real quick, if you've never seen a SWOT analysis, this is what it stands for: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats that you guys have with your businesses. So it doesn't have to be crazy, super in depth, but this year, literally need to be thinking about what were the strengths of your business? What did you do well? Maybe you got a new machine. Like for me, one of the best strengths that I learned was the CO2 Galvo, because I had it for like 6 months and I was intimidated by it. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's a huge machine. It's noisy, it's scary. So
different.
It really is. Like, it's an open tower death machine. Like if you're not paying attention, but it's also a really, really good tool. So one of my goals for the year of 2023 was to make this thing make money for me, because I'd already paid it off, but I wanted to make it make money. So this thing has paid itself off more than twice at this point now, because that was one of my goals. And you'll be seeing something about that soon with cups. So literally I just got an order today for 50 more cups, by the way. So that was pretty sweet.
Nice.
And for 50 cups, I already got the design. I can make it in about a minute and some change. So in an hour, I'll make, $600.
Yeah, you were shooting some really cool B-roll for your LMA business course.
Yeah.
Which is in editing now, by the way. Matt is 100% complete with 101 and a good chunk or all of 102.
So Business 100 is completely done.
100 is done.
Business 101 is 100% done on my end. There's a little bit of editing that's got to happen.
Yep.
And then 102 is basically 50% written out, and then it needs to be read for audio and all that kind of stuff.
Matt's got his tumbler times down so low on the CO2 Galvo, and so he's just been shooting like a ton of B-roll footage for it for a new series that he's been working on, and it's very cool, guys.
I'm hoping that'll be out next. No, I'm not going to say next week.
Maybe next week. I can see it happening next week. We're not going to talk about it anymore, though. It's going to be a surprise.
But it's definitely good. So anyways, let's take a look at your strengths. So for me, one of my strengths for 2023 would be the fact that I took the time to learn the new machine. Like I would just write that down. I learned the new machine. I feel really confident that that's something I can do well. I kind of went away. To me, a strength was being able to tell people no this year. As silly as it sounds, make the list of strengths that you're happy happened this year.
I remember you making that goal last year.
Yep.
So I'm glad you feel that way.
It was like December 23rd and people were still asking me to make like custom ornaments and stuff. And I was like, okay. And this year I told them no, and it was okay. I lost maybe
watching Matt pull his beard hair out by the strand.
I was up until like 3:00 every night. So it's just one of those things but it was nice this year. I told him no, and it was okay. I probably lost a few $100, but I also kept my sanity. So anyways, the weaknesses for this year, like think about those. For me, I did not hit my goal of wanting and by the way, be honest with yourself. That's the way this works. One of my goals was I wanted to have 5 business to business partners, and I've got 3, which is awesome. And I'm happy that I got 3, but I would have been happier, I guess. It's just that goal setting. Opportunities. So for me this year, getting an open, oh my God, what do you call it? PO, the open purchase order with a utility company for like $25,000 to $50,000 was my big opportunity.
It's a big deal.
And they're actually the people who called me today because they told me, hey, first quarter, we're going to get some stuff going. And they're being true to their word. So I'm excited for that. Other opportunities working here. That was really cool. Getting to actually have more flexibility with my schedule instead of working a full-time job, working this part-time job, and then doing my laser business too. I was able to kind of mitigate that and
consolidate your time. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cool thing is being able to film what I'm working on. It's awesome. Cause I get to teach people what I'm doing while I do it. So anyways, and then finally threats. So threats, there's always new companies that are starting. One of the companies that are in my local area just got a bigger building and I'm still here. Like one of my goals for 2024 is to get a building, to actually have some type of building. And you have to be, again, honest. It's okay to know that you've got people who are working, not really against you, but they're working in your area. And it could be an opportunity or it could be a threat. It's up to you to kind of see how you look at that. They've sent me a lot of work, which is actually really nice. But it's one of those things where now I see they're getting a fiber laser and it's like, oh, well, crap. So and that's where it goes back to like Anthony said, subpar work isn't going to be good. So that's how do you make yourself stand out? So even if you look at it like a threat, maybe it's an opportunity too. I don't know.
We've always said, just to tell, because this is the second time I've thought to mention this, so I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Yeah, go for it.
Say it, but we've always kind of told people here and there, and this is another here and there instance where we do everything because we're trying to show you guys all there is to do. But I still adamantly believe that the best course of action for all of you is to pick a handful of things you really enjoy doing and completely master them. Be the best in the whole world. Don't let any single person be better than you at those handful of things, rather than trying to jack of all trades it and do everything, because you're never going to be able to do everything perfectly. And the odds are far greater that you'll be able to master a handful of things and be exemplary at a handful of things. And when it comes to those things, people will recognize that you are the person that has mastered those skills. So that is a very easy, and by easy, I mean as far as the complexity of the thought, easy, not easy to accomplish. Yeah. That is the easiest way to stand out in your market, is to master a handful of specific skills, products, whatever, so that when people are thinking about that specific thing, there is a clear winner and a clear top pick instead of a bunch of people that are trying to do everything kind of good. So I just now seemed like an opportune time to bring that up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So where do you fall? Is that a weakness that you have right now? By the way, maybe there's nobody else in your area and that could be considered a strength for you. I don't know, like the fact that you have you have the machines that other people don't might be a strength. So you might not be the best, but you're gonna learn. I don't know. So that's it. Make yourself undeniable.
Is Anthony coming on to me?
I was about to say, like, whoa.
Undeniable.
Did I just hear like an overall button snap? But
well,
anyway,
when you said we're going to do a SWOT analysis, I wanted to throw myself off a bridge, and now I'm considering stepping back off the ledge because that was actually a little informative.
yeah. And the thing is, these can be as in depth or as surface level as you want, you know.
Yeah.
But as a company, and that's the thing where like maybe you take the 2 or 3 people that are making the decisions in your company, and you guys sit down because you could dedicate a half an hour to this and really write this out. Maybe like 3 or 4 people. And I mean, here's my thing. If you're in a multi-partner situation, or if you're working with someone, each of you do like fill your own out. And then what's interesting is to see where the overlap falls and like what differences are there, because some people look at things differently. Like I appreciate the business that's in my town because they haven't had a fiber laser for a long time and they've sent me a lot of work. And I've actually sent them some stuff too, where like I was just like, you know, this I don't have time for this, but there's a great company down the road. So that's how it works.
Also, guys, if you're listening to the audio version of this, which most of you are, according to the metrics, you can't see the SWOT analysis we're talking about, but surprise, you can go onto Google and type in SWOT, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, just SWOT, and it will give you 80 million different ways that you can build this little table. Yeah, there's templates. So if you want to see this for yourself and you're listening to the audio version, just type SWOT, SWOT into Google, click images, and have at it. You can do this a million different ways, and it's very easy thing to accomplish, but I think it definitely will have a profound effect on your planning for 2024.
Yeah, and again, like just like we were talking about referrals and, you know, throwing the kudos to the people who deserve it. Alicia Pate over at the Laser Lounge, that was her job at Chevron for years, was to work her company and her executive people through these SWOT analyses. So that's the one where I saw it, like, I think it was about 2 years ago. And I was like, man, I need to do that every year.
So she was a SWAT officer.
Yeah.
Boys, look at boys.
All right.
With a proud dad head nod.
I mean, yeah.
There's a spicy meatball.
So here's the deal. Shut up, you meatball. So what ends up happening is the SWOT analysis. The whole reason that you do all of that is that's when you need to make changes. So January is when you need to make goals and make changes. And so, or at least start to make the changes, because some of them are going to be gradual, right? Like maybe you're getting away from Stanley Cups because you're tired of them, right?
Tired of the lead. Sick of
and
the
you
lead.
might even be tired of the clientele that comes with them sometimes, because it's all right.
Oh my God.
Anyways, my name is Danielle.
There's too many Valley girls in my shop.
Yeah. Last but not least, that's the thing. So my last thing for you guys, as far as like what I would consider to make sure you think about in the next week or so, develop both a short and long-term goal list. So really think about it. My big short-term list is the 2 companies that I did not hit in 2023. I actually made some inroads with them at the end of last year. I got together with them. I took a couple people to lunch, and one guy already said, "Call me back. I'm gonna kick you out of the stream."
I'm showing Miranda. She said, "Stop biting your nails," but I'm eating gummy bears.
Oh, that's fair. All right. So I've got one meeting to work with the guy's safety person to do a whole bunch of signage. And then the other one, I still got to make a way in there. But my long-term goal this year is to be better at keeping track of all my economic stuff, like freaking receipts and just so many things that I know I'm like, my CPA soon is just going to be like, where are these things? And be like,
my goal
Yeah.
for this year is to get you from full part-time to full-time.
It's a goal.
It's a goal. It probably won't happen.
It's a goal.
Because you're the laziest employee, but it's a goal.
Wait a minute.
Oh, right. Sorry. Second.
Come on.
All good and well. But if I talk about taxes for one more second, I'm going to quit my job and be homeless. So Kyle has some exciting news. Kyle has some very, very exciting news. Pressing breaking news. And then he's got some other news. Kyle, what is the breaking news?
So if you guys are excited to try out some new stuff, actually, before we even dig into that, if you scroll down on the page that you're on right now, you'll see a subscribe button. And next to that subscribe button is a number. Just now, during this live stream, we hit 55,000 subscribers. If you're among them, we appreciate you. If you're not among them yet, we'd love for you to join and hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us.
We are closer to the silver play button now than we are to where we came from, like where we started at 0.
It's true.
So statistically speaking, we have more viewers on the channel that are not subscribed than are. So if you're not a subscriber, we'd love
by a wide margin. It's not a small gap. It's like
74,
60 to 70.
The last one I saw was like 74. Like 74% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. Just hit it. You don't even need to hit. Everybody tells you to hit the notification bell. Don't hit the notification bell. I don't care if you hit the notification bell. Just subscribe so that when you are perusing YouTube, our videos might pop up here and there for you. If you think this is interesting, you'll probably think more of our content is interesting.
And it makes it easier to find when you're drunk lasering coins, like sometimes.
Don't do that. Nobody does that.
Nobody does. Okay. Someone told me that's how they found our channel the other day. Like
I hope that is not true.
I told them you should not be doing that.
Don't operate a laser while drunk.
It's true story.
All right, what's our secondary news, Kyle?
Secondary news. So there's also the public beta release of LightBurn 1.5. So a lot of people, many people, I can't emphasize this enough. So many people were upset that they couldn't try out the new beta stuff. And they got to see us playing around with it. What they didn't get to see was all the crashes and frustrations that we had to go through. But what LightBurn did during LBX was they decided, while talking to everyone, or maybe before that, I don't know, but they decided that a public beta release was a great idea. So once most of the bugs of a new version coming out are worked out, and I emphasize most because you're going to probably find some, and that's good. Report them. But if you want to try out new stuff, and this is a big update with a lot of cool stuff, check it out. I'm going to throw a link to that down below. If it's not already in the description, it will be shortly, and it's going to be in chat if you want to check it out live. But
I didn't put it in there just for posterity.
I will add it.
Okay.
But if you scroll down, there's an option to download, so you can download it, and below that there are changes, and we've highlighted some of those changes.
There are a lot more than we're going to talk about here, but
yes.
Yeah, we have.
I have the TLDR version.
Yep.
Yes,
please share.
So in this version, we have design only mode is now a thing.
What the hell is that?
I'm glad you asked. So
I'm here to help.
I appreciate it. So have you ever wanted to do your design work in your comfy chair in your comfy office away from your workshop? Well, design mode is a thing. So you get multiple seats with your license. And by default, if I read correctly, you would normally get 2 seats. And if you contacted support, they would upgrade you to 3. By default now, I believe they're upgrading everybody to 3. If I heard that right during LBX. So in any event, if you have 2 shop computers and 1 home desktop in your comfy office, you can now install LightBurn in your comfy office and not even have to bother spending another dime on LightBurn.
That's so nice.
I know. Value added. But what you used to have to do when you were doing your design work in your comfy chair away from your computers is you would have to generate a device profile just to get into a workspace so you could design. And you don't have to do that anymore. During setup with LightBurn, you can actually set up a design only mode. So there's that. Yeah.
I want to see how that works. How does it build? How does it determine how you're going to, like, what workspace you're going to use?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
You haven't tested it?
I have not tested that aspect of it yet.
Oh, no. Cool. All right. That will give me something to do before you. I'm going to race you.
Do it. There's also guidelines, which is something that Jason actually talked about during LBX, because his partner is a designer. She was like, why can't this be in here? And Jason's like, I don't know. I guess we could do it. And so now it's a thing.
Yeah.
So
by the way, that's the same reason LightBurn exists in the first place. Like,
yes, basically.
Why can't it be better?
Sure.
So he took that feedback and thanks, Sarah. That is now a thing.
I use guidelines all the time in Illustrator, so I'm really glad that that's being added. If you guys don't know what that is, that's when you get the ruler along the X and Y axis, and if you click one and drag it out, you literally just get an infinite line along that axis all the way down wherever you want to drag it. And you can drag out as many as you want. You can delete them. You can move them. It's really nice for creating like weird grid patterns, marking points or corners that you want things to be able to snap
getting
to.
Rough intersections.
It's extremely handy. It's a very, very nice add.
And I was just going to say it's integrated super smoothly too. Like you literally you mouse up to the top of the window and it just turns into like a little pole, and that's it. Done.
Yep.
And you want another one, you do it again.
To work around that, because that wasn't implemented for the last 2 years of my life that I've been playing with LightBurn, or 3 years, whatever it is. I've been having to sort of hide things into the left corner or left top corner of my view so that I could use the XY ruler that's built into the frame of the work area.
Yeah.
It's such a pain. I'm so glad they added that. Taper warp tool, which Matt and I are going to be working on a video for very soon. But if you do a lot of those metal style solo cups, like Matt is displaying here,
large taper.
There's a big old taper. So it's narrower at the bottom than it is at the top. Essentially, what you would do with that is a lot of people like to project mark those for very rapid, quick products for their customers. But the problem with that is sometimes you have to modify the artwork to actually make it look right, because you have such a wide area across the top and a narrow area at the bottom. It looks skewed and not in a good way.
Specifically, what you end up having to do is create a trapezoid, essentially. So you have to warp your artwork into a trapezoidal shape where it's narrower at the bottom and wider at the top while still being parallel along the x-axis. It's super, super difficult to get
just
right, and it's time consuming. You have to do it for every single piece of artwork that you have to put through, and you don't have to do that anymore.
Yep. So there's that now. And then also we have a show button under output center for rotary mode. So a big problem that a lot of people had with rotary mode initially, they worked on after the initial release of LightBurn for Galvo. And what they added was a LightBurn, or in LightBurn, which is new for everything, is a output center feature for rotary. So a lot of people can't bolt their rotary down into the center of an axis. Right. So it has to be offset for a lot of people. It's the way it works sometimes. Well, that also creates problems when you're trying to get an outline of where something's going to align on a cup or a tumbler or whatever round object you happen to be marking, because when you go to red outline it, it's going to output to the actual center of the workspace when you project it or red outline it. And then when you go back into rotary and start marking it, you're 3 inches to the left or something. So you can actually show an outline of where that's going to be. And that will be coming up on a future rotary update video. And then we also have one last thing that I'm excited about, because I was big on diodes for a long time. and obviously gantry. Continuous framing on gantry machines is now a thing.
Whoop, whoop.
That is such a horrid pain to try and outline something with a diode or a CO2.
The worst.
Especially if your computer is more than a pivot away from the machine.
Yeah.
Like I'm like 7 feet away and I have to like click it and then like fat man sprint to the other side of the room.
I don't know what that's like at all.
I do.
I do.
I'm getting there.
Not a problem anymore. So
a lot of
that is now integrated. There were ways to work around it. You could like set a layer with like 1% power and let it run, but now you're doing things that are stupid and not necessary because now it's a thing and you don't have to do that.
I would just stretch really far with my mouse and like
I used to take a wireless mouse and I would position it right over the frame button and then lift the mouse straight up and walk over and just hold it like this.
Now you have a walking remote
frame. Yeah, click frame without
Anthony
it.
Said I lift my mouse up and keep clicking it.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I'm a genius.
That is a thing too.
Yeah. Not anymore.
But now it doesn't have to be.
I've done crazy shit to solve that problem, dude. I've run 50-foot USB extension cables and like had like a mouse and keyboard at lasers that are nowhere near the computer. That's a good ad. You didn't talk about the big thing, right?
Which one?
The biggest thing.
Maybe you should talk about the big thing.
I mean, I'm not an authority on it because I haven't used it at all yet. You always beat me to the new LightBurn features, but with this version of LightBurn, we're getting something that I have demanded since this was just a concept. Native lens corrections in LightBurn. If you guys haven't heard me complain about this so miserably and loudly, this update will mean that you no longer have to juggle back and forth between EasyCAD and LightBurn to do lens corrections. You no longer need to generate correction files in EasyCAD and then import them into LightBurn. The entire software UI required to complete lens corrections will now be available inside of LightBurn as a step-by-step wizard starting in 1.5.
Yep. And it is in the public beta right now. So if you did want to go and try it, you can follow the link.
Yep.
You can download it. You can install it as long as your license renewal allows you to update to version 1.5. So as long as your renewal period is current, you're good. Which, by the way, $30 for a renewal. Look at the list of updates that they do so frequently. I mean, we got 6 software versions in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So $30 for a year worth of updates. I'm totally cool with that. It's like $2 a month.
Yep. 8 cents a day. In case you want, you too can support a developer at LightBurn for 8 cents a day.
Yeah.
Jason's like,
but yeah, so I'm super excited. I actually started trying that out tonight, and I'll be doing a video on that.
Yep. ET said the 9-point correction, and thank you, LightBurn. Bring on the quick corrections.
You know, it's funny, and I wanted you to specifically mention that because I know you've been giving them that feedback since before I even had a fiber.
So long, dude. It's been such a long time. I was like, Jason.
I remember when my laser came, and you were asking about that.
Jason's company, it's his program. He can do whatever he wants. But I was like, please don't release a fiber laser version of LightBurn that doesn't have lens corrections built in. It's going to be a horrible nightmare for support. And it has been. But this is a joyous occasion. I'm really, really, really glad. This is going to solve so many problems for so many people, just to be able to just be like, click the wizard, follow the directions, done. You know, and like we'll have a video on it like that goes through the wizard, but it's a wizard. Like it literally says, click this, measure this, put that number here, click next. Like it's that straightforward. So
yeah, for context, it's super easy. It's worlds easier than Core File and EasyCAD 2. I think they did a great implementation of it, and I can't wait.
Core
for them
file
to keep iterating on it.
Core file works well, but it makes assumptions about what you know about the process in order for the process to be completed. The LightBurn version does not at all. So
real quick, Michael has already done all his lenses and it works great.
Yeah.
Yep. I have an exciting comparison video planned with this tool in mind specifically.
You do.
And I don't want to spoil it, but it's going to be interesting.
It will.
But yeah, so for context as well, in terms of time savings, especially for people on Mac, I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago who spent 6 hours doing manual lens corrections in LightBurn because they had an M series Mac. They could not get Windows running and they had to do it manually. They did not have access to a Windows machine. It was like 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. There was nowhere to borrow a Windows machine. So their option was do it manually or wait 3 days on a holiday weekend to get it done. So they spent like 6 hours doing it.
Well, this is a huge deal, dude. So many people.
Now you can do it integrated into the software in like 5 minutes.
Like there's a massive chunk of the LightBurn user base that is Mac users that had to come up with like a massive Band-Aid fix or workaround in order to get this done in a way that wasn't extremely time consuming and tedious, and B, prone to a massive amount of human error, right? And like this just like erases all of that in like one swoop, just gone.
Well, what I thought was really interesting too is, as someone who's been helping people on the LMA and writing them how to do things and making sure I send the right video links and this and that, there's a lot of times where people get tripped up when they have to go from what they've learned for a month or so. They realize there's an error and then they have to jump into EasyCAD. Just that is intimidating, having to do that for a lot of people. And we were just talking about the core file. Like today I was literally helping someone who had just gotten their machine. It came from the manufacturer. They had a 110 lens on it, but it shot a 110 by 105. How do I fix that? And it's, instead of this like complex series of steps, now it's just like go in and fix it.
Yeah, run the lens corrections wizard. Here's the video if you need extra guidance.
It's so nice that it's all in that same atmosphere.
Yeah, and if you don't know what we're talking about, if you've never had to deal with this before, or just it's a conversation you haven't heard, lenses are kind of like fingerprints. Every lens is going to be different. So even if you walk into a lens manufacturer and you pick up 5 110 lenses off the conveyor belt that came off one after the other, each one of them is going to have a different output, essentially, that's going to add either curvature or bulge or skew or something, or a different output scale, or even a different focal distance to get a proper focal range. So the ability to do this is like incredibly important to maximize your output.
Wow.
And circling back to average output products versus really good products, this is one of those things that you need to do, and you need to do appropriately to actually get a fine-tuned product off of your workbench.
Did you guys see the intro to this video?
Yeah, it's really long.
It's a throwback.
It's an oldie.
I know, but I'm just saying it's so long. Like I'm used to now I'm used to the laser everything thing where it's like boop and we're going.
I was just gonna recommend this video if you want to understand how lens corrections work and why we do them. It's explained in this video, regardless of which software we're choosing. Look at that face. That's premium right there. Regardless of which software you're using, the theory behind how a 9-point correction works is the same. And watching this video will give you a lot of insight into the process. It's an oldie, but a goodie. If you just I just typed core file into the search on the channel. I know, yeah, right there. Look at that.
That's your Melvin face, bro. That's the face of Melvin.
Yeah. So I will go ahead. I'll share this link. I'll send it to Kyle to add to the description. There you go, guys. If you want a little more information about how and why all of this works, this video covers it. So I won't take up any more time on the podcast talking about it, but I did just want to mention it really quick.
Last thing, just for those of you who are wondering, Vinny said he did 2 lenses following LightBurn's video regarding this. And it took about 20 or 30 minutes each for him to do that. And he's a pretty experienced laser operator. So,
Vince knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So imagine you don't know what we're talking about in this conversation. You're probably not hyper proficient with the concepts that we're talking about here. And that's okay. Everyone starts somewhere. But some people's lenses, the lens quality can vary from machine manufacturer to manufacturer, or even just batch of lens to batch of lens. They could be good and bad from the same place.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get a really frustratingly crappy lens and you gotta fuss with it for hours.
Dude, I've literally gotten a fiber lens where I've just been like, I've done maybe like 5 or 6 corrections for it, like back to back, trying to get it to like fix a bulge or something that's particularly bulgy. And I'll just get a new one sometimes. I'm not saying everybody should do that all the time, but like there are worse lenses and better lenses. And sometimes you just get like a crappy piece of glass because the QA is shitty. And if it's not a $400 piece of quartz glass, if it's one of those $65 cloud ray lenses, dude, like I will just chuck it because it's going to affect my work down the road. Neither here nor there, just random thought that popped into my head.
We had somebody last year on the LMA who they were having a really hard time with lens correction, and the lens label on the side indicated I think it was a 175 or 200. They could not get a square, like just a square, not even a crappy square, a square.
I remember that one
at like 110 millimeters. So like 2/3 the lens size roughly. So we determined that it was either a mislabeled lens potentially, or it was just a really bad one off the line that probably shouldn't have passed QA. And it was an aftermarket lens. It wasn't one that came from the manufacturer. It was bought secondarily. We just ended up telling him after 4 or 5, 6 hours of messing with it and in-depth helping him, go get it returned, swap it out, because it wasn't a cheap lens either. I think it was like a $200 lens.
Well, yeah, and like, so Anthony's saying, hey, my $79 300 millimeter corrected like a dream. They usually do. That's why we have corrections. You have to correct an aspherical lens for a square workspace. You have to do that. It's not, there is no, you can't buy a lens that's so expensive that you don't have to make corrections. Corrections aren't for making up for crappy glass. Corrections are for making up for the fact that you are projecting a square workspace through a circular lens. So with that in mind, I'm saying like half my glass that I have on my shelf at the office is under $100. There's nothing wrong with that, but every once in a while, from somebody who has like 50 pieces of glass for 6 different machines, there are lenses that cannot be corrected for. And usually the issue isn't that they're circular, it's that they're imperfectly circular. So you have a positive X and a negative X on your X-axis, and you have a positive Y and a negative Y on your Y-axis. And usually when you get something, it'll be like, an elliptical issue where you are taking a perfect circle and you're squishing it like this, and it's squishing outwards on both sides the same amount. But when you get some glass that has been formed so poorly that only one of those sides is getting squished out, but the other one is still like a nice circle, and you end up with like this kind of shape, that can be really, really difficult to correct for in software. So, and depending on the severity of that distortion, sometimes it can be incorrectable to the point where if you fix a problem on the negative X, it creates a problem on the positive X. And if you fix a problem on the positive X, it creates a problem on the negative X. And you'll just go in circles like that for hours and hours and hours and hours. And if that ever happens to you, especially if you're using a wizard, I would consider replacing the lens. I just want to clarify that. There's nothing wrong with $65 lenses. K9 glass shouldn't cost more than $65. It's K9 glass. But just be aware there are defects. They do happen.
Yep. You can also end up with weird distortions on one side of a lens that render a significant portion of the lens unusable, you have to keep everything centered to like the smallest possible work area when you were expecting a 300.
Yep.
Well, I think that was what ended up happening with that guy. Is he basically was like, well, luckily I don't really use that. I just was wondering, and it was like, yeah, but you still want your machine to work the way it's intended to, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that was after everything. So, anywho, oh my goodness, it's already been an hour almost. Look at that, 55 minutes. Boys, what's new, man? What do you got?
And so before we wrap up today, we'd like to give Boyce the old 3 minutes slapper. Go ahead and let us know what you've been doing, Boyce. We'd love to hear about it.
Oh, just getting stuff done. You know, just working.
You brought up you brought up Katie Devlin earlier. How's your little science party class going?
Oh, that's not her, but
oh no, that's Dawn Marie. That's right,
Dawn Marie. That we actually had our first little like a walkthrough, like a mock practice party. Made some signs and got all the supplies.
Practice party.
Yeah, so we had 2 people over. They picked the design. We set all the supplies and walked through. Kind of timed it all out. This is okay.
Oh, that's smart.
An hour to paint, an hour to dry. So while it's drying, eat some food, drink some booze, chit chat, kick the tires,
cheese and crackers.
I can see Boyce like Kevin in Home Alone.
Deep. I see him 6 peaches deep. Like,
oh no,
you guys like lasers? You want to see one?
The puppets move.
Yeah.
But yes, we just kind of timed it all out. So okay, 1 hour for this, 1 hour for that, 3 hours we're out of here cleaning up, and we're just trying to figure out like the right business to start it at. We're gonna go to a winery probably because it's slow in the winter. They're looking for business too, and so we're gonna try and go to like a winery and find a couple people we know that have a large group of friends that'll want to do this.
Madam's winery, apparently.
I was going to suggest teachers. I mean, I know Diane knows the teachers. Mm-hmm. At my school, there's a guy who does CNC work. So he already has this kind of on lock at my wife's school. But that's what they do. They, at the beginning of the year, they make signs for their doors that say, like, welcome. And they've got, like, cute classroom stuff. So just saying, they're there. And plus,
meet up at a brewery, have some food.
Yeah, and that's where you get the winery involved, like you were saying, and then brewing those guys on down or gals.
Yeah. So let's start like the next part of this. Her process is book an individual to go to their home, and then while we're preparing for them to send out their 10 invoices, which she has like a good Google order form tutorial is really nice. How to share it, how to populate that information so you know which things they sign up for, the numbers and the options and stuff, which is pretty helpful if you've never done a Google form before. And stuff like that. It's pretty, it's pretty thorough. But I have some critiques too for her that I said, hey, we have questions here, here, and here so far. And so she's like, oh my God, thank you so much, because I didn't even think about putting it in there. And so she's gonna start updating it as you go with some critique, kind of being a beta, I guess, for an honest like critique. Like, nice. Hey, we got some gaps here. And so because hers is set up to do where you just take 1x4s or 1x6s, chop them off and make a square sign and blah blah blah, and you make like a ridge back for the mounting thing. I'm like, well, we're not even doing that. We're using our laser. We bought this damn machine. I'm cutting my own wood. And I'm going to make holes and just put a hanger in there. And it's just, we have our own way of doing it. So I'm going to try to suggest for her to make it a different. Yeah. But I mean, like there's 2 completely different paths. Mm-hmm. So I told her it might be a good idea to have like an A and a B version where A is you have a Cricut and a chop saw, a miter saw, or you have a laser, you can make 3D letters, because some of those supplies you don't need for the different avenues. So just trying to help her fine tune that thing, and it's pretty good so far. It's well worth the money as far as I'm concerned.
Awesome, dude. Man.
Yeah, it's good files. Yeah.
Are you gonna go download the new public beta
of what?
Of LightBurn?
Oh hell yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go check that out, man.
I was gonna ask, how's your machine doing?
I just dropped about 1,000 F-bombs in about a week. So I suck at soldering pretty bad.
Me too, buddy.
So I'm literally going to go get a computer guy and say, I'll pay you to come here solder this son of a bitch. I soldered it 3 times, Kyle. I did like you said, put a drop here, put a drop there, shrink wrap, yay! Sit it down, click, it falls off. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God,
take
dude.
all that shit back apart. And I'm like, I quit. I'm gonna go give someone money to do a skill set I don't have. I don't have time to even mess with this. If I had hair, it's ripped out.
Is there solder all over the board now? I mean, like if the board's clear, dude, just strip the wire down a little bit.
Boys, just go pay somebody. Man. Don't listen.
Do you know how to tin the wire at least? Can you do that?
Yeah, I've watched your video, man.
Dude, you just tin it, stick it in the hole, heat the wire up, and it'll just. All right, fine. Go pay somebody to do it.
It sounds right.
If you guys remember, Boyce used to have eyebrows like mine, and he was talking about the hair that he pulled out. They're gone. Like that shit's gone.
I'm finding out what little eyebrows I have. So like Kyle sat here and was step by steps, like do this, do that, and I'm like, I did it, and I was like, cool, man, I appreciate your help. I do the shrink wrap. It's all done. I start putting it back up there and hooking things up. Some bitch pops off. I'm like, well, F this.
When I did mine, I actually and this is a
Vinny said
pro tip. That's a nice offer, Vince. But he needs to go find some college kid and needs to lure down into his basement. When I do mine, I get a hot glue gun and I just encase the entire.
It's an insulator
thing, yeah, because it's an insulator, so it keeps the 2 contacts from touching and it keeps the wires from yanking out because it just solidifies into like a rock of plastic. It's a really solid way to do it.
Yeah, but I still haven't proven that I can do it like the right way. I don't want to hot glue my sucker. I almost said the bad word.
That mother sucker. Still not great.
That would be a baby. So you're trying to say that, baby?
Yes. But like I still need to prove to myself that I can't get power to this damn board. It's the positive, negative, the positive and the ground. And I'm like, I need to at least show that I can get a current in that sucker before.
This is why you need like a $30 benchtop power supply off Amazon, because you can just run 2 wires. Does he have a benchtop power supply? He's grabbing something. That's a multimeter.
That's a multimeter, bro.
Supply.
Okay.
That right there is why he needs to pay somebody, bro.
Pay somebody. You're gonna do it.
You're like, this is, by the way, this is what you just, for those of you who are listening to the podcast instead of watching it, Alex was like, you should get a power supply, and Boys pulled up a cup.
Oh, I have a 5-volt power supply that I'm using for this.
You got it, buddy. You're doing great. We'll catch up later.
Yeah. All right.
Your eyebrows are going to grow back. Don't worry.
Anthony's asking where Bronson is. Bronson went to DD for his friends tonight. So pour one out for Bronson.
To be a DD? What a guy.
Yeah. What a guy, right? I know.
Dungeons and Dragons?
We had one good question here.
Yes.
I mean, we've had multiple good questions tonight, but one in the last couple of minutes here.
All right, let's rip.
Nope. Can't say that name very well. Zhao Shizi said, is there an option to input the contour of the cup into LightBurn to correct in the Z-axis for height during a rotational engraving, keeping focusing on the material?
You don't get Z-axis control in LightBurn, which is, I think, the key resolution you're looking for in that. What you want is a 2.5D or 3D machine, if that's something you need. You can rely on getting a centralized focus point in between the high point and the low point, and using your focal distance of a big lens to do that. But if you need to correct for a bigger distance than that, you're looking for a 3D machine,
which LightBurn does not support. Big asterisk.
So, at least as of yet.
You're going to be on FieldTech software or EasyCAD.
3.
Yeah,
which we also don't really talk about on the channel because
I hate
none of us have 3D machines. So.
I was gonna say, and that's something too. Like if you've got something that's maybe got multiple ridges and stuff, but if you've just got something that has like a taper like that, you can always just level it out with certain aftermarket rotaries. Just saying.
Do we have anything else?
That was the last big one. Otherwise, Laura's feeling sick. I hope you feel better, Laura.
I feel better, Laura. Man. I dropped her a message in the chat. That sucks.
Yeah, this is the time of year where everyone feels like garbage. It's late January. Kids are in school. It's after the holidays. Everyone feel better. We wish you all the best.
Yep. And then let's see. Sargon. Hey, Sargon showed up. Been a long time. Thought I'd slow down, but chance.
I started this earlier, or Matt did. One of us did. Clave asked, "Can you design on a Mac?" Yes. There's feature parity between Windows and Mac. So if you can do it on LightBurn in a Windows computer, you can do it on a Mac, and vice versa. And I don't believe that there are any exceptions to that rule.
They develop for both platforms simultaneously.
Chris was in chat earlier. He said Stanley's and Pal World's two biggest things on the internet right now. So true.
I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Lori said, I appreciate the interviews. They make me want to attend next year, even though I'm not on EasyCAD. I did not realize there would be so many other vendors. Or even though I am on EasyCAD. Lori, get on LightBurn, Lori. But also, I clicked this one in particular because I wanted to plug one more time the LBX series. A lot of this stuff wasn't available, guys, because our streaming ability, our capability to stream was hindered at LightBurn. So a lot of this content you couldn't have even seen it if you wanted to. There are 5 core episodes up now. So we've got Bronson visiting the broadcast station, Gil Poznansky and Hope Yoder, Jason Reif, Alicia Pate, and Chris Lucasio. And then we have Patrick Moore and Alan Puccinelli. And today, Katie Devlin and Robert Kofed went up. And it's the full edited, clean version of the LBX panel,
the
guys.
Sound is nice.
The sound is nice. The pacing is excellent. Far better than it was live. Just did an amazing job editing these down to really just consume them quickly. So this is really big. We made a huge investment on the show this year. So definitely go watch it. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. Because feedback's been low, viewership has been kind of low. If you do enjoy it, share it. Let somebody else know that it was interesting. Because the people we just got to talk to the best people. I'm super stoked to share that, and I want people to be excited about it too. Vince, I see that. Thank you, Matt.
I was literally gonna say there's so many episodes, but especially the one with Jason, because Jason, Sarah, and Joe were nice enough to give us like an hour almost of their time, and I'd say out of that hour, probably like 45 minutes of it is legit talk, about lasers. So really looking forward to seeing that one too.
Okay, so here's my edit folder for LBX. This is where Jess dumps all of the stuff that she's completed. And it looks like she dumped a bunch of MP3s and the next episode of the Laser Source podcast for us. So that one's not done yet, but I think that's the very next one that she'll have completed. So that one should be close to follow on the rest of these. Also, you'll notice the LBX episodes are in here as MP3s. That's because I'm likely going to upload these interviews as audio to our podcast, so that if you'd rather listen to just the audio only, you're certainly able to do that too. If it's easier to consume in the car or whatever, that will certainly be an option for you. If you want to find this content, guys, go to the channel and then just scroll down to LightBurn Experience 2023. You get the full playlist right here, including the original streams, if you care to take a look at those. A couple podcast episodes related to the subject, and then right up here in the front, I'm making them nice and easy to find. We've got all those panel interviews for you guys as well. If you haven't already checked it out, Laser Theory 100, brand new course with supporting content on the LMA. LMA is the #1 way to support the channel. So if you haven't already signed up, please go check it out over at masters.lasereverything.net. We are a viewer-supported channel. And shout out to everybody who helps make this content possible and keeps us in business and getting paychecks. We appreciate you. Kyle's got some stuff coming out, including the core file comparison. And then what else?
We got rotary table projects coming soon, multiple. Nice. We got other A to Z projects that are in popular demand from everyone. We have the core file comparison from lens to lens thing that I didn't fully describe, that I'm keeping a secret. And we have a video for the crash course for using that new tool in LightBurn.
Dope.
There's like a dozen more that are in the works that are like.
And I was gonna say I've got
coming.
2 series right now that are getting work done. One that basically the first video got shot in. I have to do some audio for it, but basically that's gonna be coming out. I can't say too much. Alex was like, "Shut up about it," and then they'll know what it is when they see it.
I think it'll be a fun surprise.
Yeah. So
Soon.
it's nothing that's gonna revolutionize the world, but it's just one of those things. It's questions. One of the things that I've told Al, Miranda, and Kyle is like, we should really make a condensed list of the questions that we get all the time, and just give them like, quick answers that are to the point. And so it's going to be one of those things that hopefully keep getting viewed because it's always questions people have. So
yeah,
and that's why I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, guys. Go buy some merch. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for spending the last hour and 11 minutes with us. We really appreciate you guys being here, especially if you're here live. Thank you so much. And keep an eye out. Lots of content coming out for you guys. Got a lot of JC stuff down the pipe as always. Happy end of January, and we will see you in the next one.
Stay healthy, y'all.